So, it's very interesting that he brings you back actually to how we start. Huh? As a kid, you don't have thoughts.
Yes.
As a kid, you're playing.
Yeah.
Well, we call that playing.
Yeah.
You know, like because everything is interesting. You know, like.
Yes. Yeah.
And if we look at the kids, we love it.
Yeah.
But as soon as a grown-up does this, he's crazy.
Yeah.
He's an idiot. And of course, it's taken away from you.
Mm-hmm.
That daydreaming and dreaming and being involved in like even the smallest little hole, and you go in it and you put your nose in it and you know, that's out of the question. And
But
he started
yeah.
doing that with you. You know?
Well, yeah, but I think I would.
And of course in the beginning,
Yeah.
you get totally upset. You think, what am I doing? I'm totally getting out of my mind. I'm doing with the table. You know what I mean? I'm crazy. I have to go. You know, it's like as if you
No, you know what?
lose everything in your life, which basically is how you started as a kid.
What he did was to unleash the natural inclination to do things that were fun. Right?
Yes.
And then this censorship operation in me, in that instance, jumped in
Yeah.
and said, "Ooh, what did I do wrong?"
Yeah, exactly.
I reacted, and he doesn't. He's sitting there. He doesn't care what happened.
No, exactly.
Doesn't matter to him.
As a kid, you don't either.
No. And so after that incident, I was less inclined to back away,
Right.
which led to even deeper trouble.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because you're a grown-up, right?
Well, but also he would then push that
Yeah,
because he saw the effect on the audience.
yeah,
And his whole point, I think, toward the end was to drive people out of their comfort zone
yeah,
so that they could drop some of this pretense.
yeah, right.
There was an incident with children. He started sicking the kids on me. You know, whenever a child came in the room, he said, "Go beat that bastard up."
Yeah,
And that would be fine for a while. Then the parents would step in.
yeah,
"Jimmy, don't do that, Jimmy.
yeah.
Jimmy, don't."
Exactly.
And at some point, I would also, like, there was one incident in Switzerland where it was a room full of people. It was the height of the season, as it were, with Yuji. All of his old friends came.
Yeah,
There were about 30 people in this big living room.
yeah,
And there was a family there, and there was a young boy about maybe 5 or maybe, I don't know how old he was. And I had been, you know, the thing with Yuji had accelerated now to where he was punching me, kicking me, throwing water. I'm fine.
yeah.
I was so bored with this holy business shit
Yeah, exactly.
of people sitting around, you know, that I was kind of like, okay, let's, you know, I think he picked up, whatever. So this kid comes in, he says, "Get him." And so I'm bored, I'm thinking, oh, these. So I'm on the floor, and the kid's pounding. And Yuji's saying, more, and the father's leaning over saying, "Stop it." And the kid is pound. And at some point I thought, now it's enough.
yeah,
Now I've had enough.
yeah,
So I got up, and Yuji came over and grabbed me by the collar. He said, "Now you sing." And I looked at him and I said, "Screw you." And I gently detached his tough little hand and took off out of the room. And the little kid was traumatized. And Yuji said, "It's your fault." So everybody in the room is now like, what the hell just happened here? You know, I mean, I was enjoying, I have to say, I was enjoying this little game because I felt like I was stirring up these other people. And then he kind of, it's like he caught that, and then he grabbed me and put me on the spot. You know, like, "Oh, you think you're..." Then I said, "Okay, that's enough," and I left. And these were moments where, I mean, I have to say, I left there and I thought, this is enough.
yeah,
I think this has got to stop. I can't do this anymore. And I went home and I just was stewing there like, screw this old fucker, I'm not going back in there, you know. And And then he, of course, calls and I don't answer the phone, and he sends somebody over to get me. Is he okay? You know, make sure bring him back. And I was like, screw him, I'm not going back there. But then again, as with all of these incidences, you know, and there were more than one of those, the question comes up, what do you want?
Yeah, exactly.
Why was I there in the first place?
Exactly.
To get rid of all of these controls.
Exactly.
And here's a guy, he's pushing me to get rid of them.
Yeah.
And there's my resistance.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go back and have a safe, comfortable existence in my boring shit-ass life in New York?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Exactly.
For me, as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing more interesting than that kind of existence that I saw in front of me. Nothing. And so when people are confused or they read this book and they feel sorry for me, I don't care. I don't give a shit. If they don't get it, then they will never get it. They would never understand. You know, if I say to somebody, look, if Jesus Christ, even if you're an atheist, if somebody tells you, okay, Jesus got off the plane, he'll be in New York, he's going to be at Starbucks at 7 with some friends, would you not at least be curious? If it was a convincing report that Jesus Christ or Mohammed or somebody, like they're going to show up, you're going to at least be able to say, look, you asshole, you ruined my life, you know? Something. Like, you phony piece of shit, you look what you've done to civilization. Something. You want to go in there and confront this, get to the bottom of it. I don't think so. Or that sounds like I'm a religious fanatic, or I'm putting him on the same level. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
So fine, I don't care. I don't really care, because what I saw convinced me that I always wondered if those, is that possible even for a human being, or is that all a big story? Is this Jesus story a big story? There must have been something about the guy, but yeah, maybe it's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But what is it really like? I mean, people can tell me endless things. I thought JK had something. I went to see him, and frankly, I was bored.
Who?
Jiddu Krishnamurti.
Oh yeah, Jiddu.
You know, I read his book and I had a funny experience
Yeah.
of some kind of awareness of this feeling. But then I was the same idiot afterwards, so who cares?
Yeah.
And then I read his books for 20 years and nothing more happened.
Nothing more.
I went to see him and nothing
Yeah,
happened.
yeah,
So what's the
yeah,
big deal?
Yeah.
I meet this Yuji Krishnamurti. This is a different situation.
Yeah.
It's totally different. And
Yeah.
you cannot mistake the difference. I could not mistake it. This guy is out of it. He got out. He escaped. I don't care who says what. That guy, I can see it. And the way he acts. So what am I going to, why would I not be interested in that?
Yeah, exactly. And if you run away from it,
It's going to, the rest of my life I'd be thinking,
you're stuck. Yeah.
I'm still here.
Yeah.
I pussied out. I ran away. I gave up. I chickened out.
Yeah. Yeah, but those are big confrontations.
Fine. Good.
Yeah, of course.
Bring it on.
Great, the best.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I
Yeah.
realized nobody else in my life would put me in that corner.
Exactly.
I wouldn't put up with that for
Exactly.
1 minute.
Yeah, exactly.
So if somebody goes, why would you put up with that? It's like, well, if you don't understand it, then fine. I can't
Yeah.
explain it to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, well, that's just like Milarepa and Boo Boo. I don't give a shit about Milarepa. This is my life we're talking about here, not somebody's book.
Yeah,
I met a guy who had this effect. It's not related to those things.
no.
I mean, after the fact, you can do whatever you want with the information. But in the moment, that information is not in operation. And
So you-
that's what was fascinating.
So you went back again. Huh?
Until he died, Willem.
Yes.
At
Yes.
some point, I realized, like, okay, this guy's getting really old. I helped him when he fell. Then he was leaning on me a lot and beating me up and punching me. And then I thought, he's going to die soon. He's not going to last much longer.
Yeah.
So the hell with this apartment. I got kicked out of my apartment in New York.
Okay.
Put everything in storage. I was able to keep working because I did this freelance work and
Yes.
traveling.
Yeah.
So I said, fine, this isn't going to last forever.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more pressing. So I'll just keep with this until it's over.
And you went to, where was he?
Wherever he went.
Oh yeah. You kept following him.
Chicago, I'm sorry, Chicago, New York, Palm Springs, New York, Switzerland, Germany, Italy, India, back to Switzerland.
So you traveled with him?
Then I just started traveling all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I watched, you know, he's not gonna last much longer. He was
No.
hobbling a little bit, and I thought, okay, how is he gonna deal with death?
Yeah,
How is he gonna, that's a big test.
yeah,
How does somebody behave?
yeah,
And the answer was exactly the same. Precisely the same. No doctors, no medicine, nothing. He fell the second time when we were in northern Italy. Then he asked me again, you gotta help me out. I spent, you know, all night with him, keeping the fire, giving him water, helping him take a leak,
yeah,
whatever. And he didn't change, nothing changed. Till the last second that I saw him, when he kicked me out and said, look, time to go. You know, go on, carry on your own life, get out of here. Until that moment, that was it. You know, I just stuck it out there until that was it. And I watched him lying there in bed for 8 weeks, not in bed, on a couch.
yeah,
And the only thing he was doing was describing how he functioned.
yeah,
And then I realized that's all he's ever done.
yeah,
And everybody asked him, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? As if he shouldn't do it.
yeah, exactly.
And he, you know, he had a pair of shoes, a pair of pants, a shirt. I went back to his apartment when he kicked us out 2 weeks before he died, or 1 week before he died. 1 week. And I sat in his room in the apartment where he was, and it sent a chill up my spine. Because the only indication, there was a calendar and a clock, and you open the refrigerator, there's 1 can of cream, a pair of shoes, a pair of slacks, that's it.
That's it.
That's it. So all these people talk about divesting themselves of this, that, and the other. Anyway, it's
He was also eating quite,
hardly anything.
yeah, simple, huh?
Yeah, I mean, rice sticks and tomato sauce and idlis and, you know. I mean, his diet also, there were so many things about this guy that you could learn from. That first 2 weeks when I was in Switzerland with him, I had an epiphany going into the Migros. I went in there and I looked around and I thought, we don't need any of this crap. Really. All this business of vitamins and minerals and eat the right food and all this garbage is a pitch.
Yeah,
There's a horse running in that field. What does that horse eat? Hay.
yeah,
How come that horse is so huge and those powerful muscles and it's eating hay?
yeah,
And we need vitamin B, niacin, riboflavin, whatever they can invent to inject into that stuff they call food we're eating.
yeah,
And it's all in our head.
yeah,
Similarly, clothing, food, shelter, he would say if all you need is food, clothing, and shelter, it's not very difficult to obtain.
no,
If you want one thing more than that, you are in a neurotic state. I cannot find the evidence to suggest otherwise. It was not complicated what he was saying. It was not complicated
No.
at all. But it's extraordinarily difficult for this organism, having been shuffled through the machinery of the society, and with all the thousands of years of momentum, as we were talking about language,
yeah,
how language has produced a stranglehold of thought in
Yeah.
this organism,
yeah, yeah,
and given us all kinds of illness as a result,
yeah,
chronically.
yeah.
And the
Because,
same language generator is creating more and more problems under the claim of solutions.
yeah,
Whether they're spiritual, you know, meditate more, do this, do that.
yeah, if you read a newspaper in the morning, you don't really get very happy, huh?
No, because they learned when they began publishing newspapers
Yeah.
that the only news that sells is bad news.
Bad, yeah,
Because we love fear and thrive on anxiety.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's amazing.
If you don't have a problem, you invent one.
Yeah,
I mean, he used to repeat that. And then people, of course, the first thing, well, what about the starving people? And look,
and you know what's so interesting? The word problem comes from the Greek word problema. You know what it means? That's what's right in front of you.
what? That's
That's
what
the
it-
meaning of the word problem.
Is-
That's what is right in front of you.
Everything
And
is a problem.
we call it a disaster.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's right in front of you?
Yeah, what's right in front of you.
Yeah. Because what you recognize and the recognizing thing is the problem.
Yeah.
And it generates solutions which continue the problem.
Yeah, oh yeah, it makes it.
And
Because
if
you're
you take
busy.
away the problem, then the threat is death for that thing.
Yeah,
Means that comes to an end.
yeah. Yeah, he's and so the last week he sent you out and
Yeah.
you didn't see him die or so. Who was there then? Nobody?
A filmmaker and a man and his wife who had known Yuji for about 20 some years.
Okay.
She was a doctor and he was, so she, I think, you know, it was a wise decision because she was a doctor, she would at least say, oh yeah, he's dead now.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And Mahesh wanted to be there at the end.
Yeah.
Mahesh, the filmmaker.
And he filmed it?
No.
Oh, okay.
But he wrote a book about it called Taste of Life. And when I read that book, the transcript or the manuscript of it, I had been wondering, you know, did I miss something? And when I read it, I realized no, everything was the same until
Yeah.
he breathed his last.
Yeah, yeah. So you wrote a book too?
Yeah.
The Goner.
Goner.
Goner. Which means literally?
It means terminal, finished, no help. You know, you're
Yeah.
dying.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
it's
that's
over.
it. Yeah.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Yeah.
Slang. They usually like that word. He called it the Goners Club at one point. He established the Goners Club and raised 10,000 euros in 20 minutes in the Black Forest in Germany. And then he disbanded it because he didn't want to vote for the president or something. I don't know. He invented it, raised a bunch of money, and then said, okay, forget it.
Yeah, forget it. Yeah. Yeah.
But he liked American underground slang.
Yeah.
So that word Goner seemed like a good title for me.
Yeah.
I liked it. It's got a nice ring to it. The
Yeah.
Indians, of course, didn't like it. So when they published the book in India, they published it. They wanted a different title. So they call it No More Questions.
No more questions.
Yeah, I mean, I threw out a bunch of suggestions and they took that. And then they didn't want my picture of him as an old toothless man. So they found a vigorous photograph of the handsome young Yuji, you know, with teeth and dark hair, who I never saw.
Yeah.
So it's all part of the BS machine, you know.
So, now, yeah, amazing. Amazing, it's wonderful. I mean, I felt too when I talked with him that there was a beautiful stream going, you know,
Yeah.
a beautiful flow, you know, that felt really totally natural and could go any way, you know, and it was
Yeah.
like indeed,
Unpredictable.
absolutely unpredictable, fantastic, you know, and indeed, you know, if we were able to bring that back in our life, the playing, the being as a kid, you know, because the moment you learn how to think, you know, all our thoughts are mostly lies, and you know, and we have not one original thought of ourselves. We keep repeating and repeating and repeating whatever they teach us, you know what I mean? And the interesting thing, of course, is that if you go to another country, it's other thoughts.
But they basically have the same function
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah, yeah,
That's what I've discovered.
yeah. Different explanations.
Yeah. For the
They call
same
it
thing.
explanationism for the same thing,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
All human drive is the same.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that was the best thing about going to India with Yuji was that my fascination for Hinduism and Vedic scriptures and all that was very much balanced by seeing that it doesn't operate in these people's lives at all,
yeah,
other than as ritual.
yeah,
The few, select few for whom that operates, those texts themselves are not necessary.
no,
But it's a nice record and it's an interesting society, or
Yeah.
culture. The society is just like every other one.
yeah,
But the culture fascinates me. But again,
yeah, sure.
nothing like the living individual who was in front of me who was finished with all that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and for that I am eternally happy to have met and encountered and gone ahead and spent that time just to convince myself,
Yeah.
yes, okay.
So is there interest for your book?
I think it's a limited interest, you know.
Yeah.
I don't expect, I cannot imagine, aside from maybe the fascination with the bizarreness of the situation,
Yeah.
you know, that it would be that big, but I did feel really compelled to tell that story.
Yeah.
Because I feel that so many stories of these people get distorted and turned into
Exactly.
fairy tales.
Yeah, I know.
And also the difficulty of confronting that in your life, that it wasn't a pretty picture for me to hang out with him.
Yeah,
You know, it was humiliating and difficult, but for good reason, you know. I was there because I wanted to be done with these things, and
Yeah.
they don't go easily.
yeah,
Nothing goes without a fight, you know.
okay.
Yeah.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you, Will.
Maestro.
Nice to meet
Thank
you.
you. Yeah, it was very nice to hear your story. It gave me a very beautiful view of this wonderful man who
Yeah, he's
actually
something.
was teaching us to become a kid again, and yeah,
Maybe to become an adult for the first time, actually.
for the first, yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
If
Because
it's
like,
possible, which
Yeah.
is doubtful, but he did give it his shot.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thanks, Will.
Thank you.